Equality? Are you guys for equality?
Define equality.
How about the Civil Rights Act?
14th Amendment.
Man, I just dropped my pen. Joe Biden apology tour? Thank you.
Is it free?
I don't like that pen.
It's too black for you?
And a pregnant pro-choice lawmaker.
That doesn't make any sense.
Man.
None.
Hey, y'all. Welcome to the show. Waterboy, Chuck Knox, Pastor Toby, and Pastor Jared Longshore, all the way from Florida.
Well, hello.
All the way. Thank you for joining us.
Hello.
Man.
Little sword in the trowel
Glad to be
action
here,
on
man.
Cross Politics.
Oh, yeah. Sword in the trowel.
Yeah, man. Good to be with you guys. If you guys want to be emailing with us, email us at crosspolitic@gmail.com. We also, just this past week, dropped some awesome club content for our club membership.
Uncle Gary DeMar.
Uncle Gary, man. Uncle Gary, Pastor Toby, and Pastor Doug Wilson talking about there is no rapture.
Well, actually, I think it started off with like, so the rapture's not going to happen, so now what? And in 20 minutes of just goodness.
Is that already on the club content?
I put that up first.
Yeah.
Oh,
it's good
so
stuff.
if you're a club member, you already got access to that?
And session 10 of Proverbs with Pastor Toby, that's up there.
Oh, man.
It's all kinds of good.
Chapter 10? I missed that.
Session
10,
chapter 3.
10.
No, it's not the same thing.
You know.
Obviously, you ain't watching.
Not chapter 10 of Proverbs.
I get it. Nomenclature.
Nomenclature. All right.
All right, guys. So Joe Biden hadn't entered the Democratic race yet, but the brother is already facing some Me Too problems here.
In my career, I've always tried to make a human connection. That's my responsibility, I think. I shake hands, I hug people, I grab men and women by the shoulders and say, you can do this. And whether they're women, men, young, old, it's the way I've always been. It's the way I've tried to show I care about them and I'm listening. And over the years, knowing what I've been through, the things that I've faced, I've found that scores, if not hundreds of people have come up to me and reached out for solace and comfort, something, anything that may help them get through the tragedy they're going through. And so it's just who I am. And I've never thought of politics as cold and antiseptic. I've always thought it about connecting with people. As I said, shaking hands, hands on the shoulder, a hug, encouragement. And now it's all about taking selfies together.
That's it. That's all I can handle from that video. And if you guys, there's been about 4 or 5 women who've come out in the last month.
He got Me Too'd.
Well, and it's kind of like none of the women are claiming they got sexually assaulted. They just they made it feel uncomfortable, all that stuff. One of the gals actually took the picture. So he like nuzzled his forehead with her forehead kind of thing. And
who does that?
And someone snapped the picture.
She
took the picture, framed it, and put it up on our wall. And then now says that I realized over time I felt more and more uncomfortable as I walked past the picture of my house.
Well, whose fault is that?
It's not her fault.
Oh, don't blame women. Believe women.
Victims, it's never their fault.
Oh,
you know what this means, though? This kind of thing, when it's going on, that means that we're winning.
Who's we?
We're winning. The good guys are winning because this is a massive fight. This is what happens when you don't have a standard. Now, he shouldn't be smelling people's hair. Okay, so that's wrong. And you're just out of here if you smell people's hair, right? But think about what else is going on. You got a whole bunch of people saying that's pretty plain. That's in the book somewhere. Don't smell people's hair.
Don't smell someone else's hair.
Just don't smell people's hair. Right?
Regardless of the faithful standard that you ought not smell somebody's hair, there is this kind of faux, hey, we want you to say you're sorry, and then there's a faux apology. So there's just this constant positioning. There's no real standard going on. Hey, you should say you're sorry. Oh, okay, I'll kind of say I'm sorry. I won't really say I'm sorry. But I'm going to talk about I just like to give people massages. When that kind of thing goes on, you're going down.
Well,
you're going down hard.
And what do women want? I mean, just like a couple months ago, they're making fun of Mike Pence.
Right, for he doesn't
not meeting with women alone.
With women alone.
Yeah, you could get Joe Biden to kind of faux apologize for anything you want him to.
Exactly.
But here's the thing, though. I think this is a Democratic hit job.
Oh, certainly.
I mean, who's doing this? Who's driving this? I think that the thing is I thought Joe had already jumped in. To the Democratic race.
Nope, not officially.
But everybody knows basically he's the front runner.
Yep. He's pulling that way. He's pulling as a front runner.
And here's the crazy thing.
Lord, please do it. Please do it, Jesus.
The crazy thing is that he's the most reasonable of them all.
But they're not reasonable right now.
No, and that's the problem.
Nope.
He makes them all look crazy.
Yeah.
Bernie, though, is middle of the road.
Well,
Yeah. Oh, stop.
Oh, Bernie.
You shut up.
Nancy Pelosi.
He's like he's like moderate Democrat now. He's moderate Democrat now.
Oh, no.
Because you got occasional Cortex.
Yep. I do love that Andrew Klavan line. He loves that.
I'm just going to
Andrew Klavan.
You're the greatest.
Shouts out to you. Who, by the way, is coming to Called Conference this summer?
Fit that in there.
That was good.
Callconference.ninja.
So I do want to give when Brett Kavanaugh got me too. Oh, go ahead.
Well, sorry.
Go ahead.
So my point is all the crazies, they got to knock him off.
Yeah, they do.
They need to take him out because he makes them look crazy.
Yeah.
Because he's not as crazy as them. That's why I think it's a Democratic hit job.
Yeah. Alexandria, occasional Cortex, she did the same thing with Nancy Pelosi. She tried to take her out.
Yeah.
Nancy's an OG though. She don't play that.
Yeah.
She took her out. She got her
Nancy's but that means Nancy's establishment now.
Oh yeah.
Which is kind of crazy.
And then guess what? As a conservative, I want that.
Right.
Okay. I want somebody who can Nancy Kerrigan somebody else.
This is back to Jared's
point. I need that to be able to happen.
This is Jared's point though. Part of it. I'm gonna expand on your point. Can I do that?
Yeah.
We are winning when occasional Cortex is the center of the Democratic Party.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah.
I do want okay, I gotta ask this because when you were talking, I was thinking to myself, like, okay, as a Christian, let's say you had Joe Biden in your church. Okay. And you got two sisters that come up to you in the last year and a half, 2 years and say, I don't know, but every now and then when I'm around this dude, I hear, and I ain't been able to, I just feel a little, he might be. And then when I see him, he put his hands on my shoulder. And what's your move right now as a pastor?
2 years?
Yeah,
First, I say, sisters, why did you let this go on for 2 years?
Yeah, right. Seriously.
Come in here and we need to figure out what's going on.
She's like, well, I'm telling you now because, he keeps doing it. Makes me feel very, very uncomfortable. I just thought that maybe
you sit down with him and you say, sir, you must stop that.
And he does the same thing Joe Biden just did. Oh, man, I wasn't trying to, actually, this is how I communicate. This is how I love on my sisters. And
you say no.
This is how it was made.
You have to stop.
You have to stop.
You have to stop.
Yeah, put your hands on the sister again. I'm going to break your hands. That's what you say?
Spiritual speaking.
Spiritual. I don't separate the spiritual and the natural in the same way.
Knox has a problem with that.
Yeah, but seriously, I think because right now, what I'm seeing right now with the Joe Biden thing, there isn't a way to handle the situation, really.
No.
And nobody's actually bringing a charge to him that they've actually been assaulted, right?
Yep.
And then he's kind of in this gray area. So what do you do with Joe?
It's like I went to the market, and this lady stepped on my foot. That's the kind of complaints that Joe's been getting.
Yeah, but we see
my community here keeps hurting my feelings.
Yeah, but what do you say, Joe? You do this again, and what is there any legal?
I know he said at the end of his pseudo apology that
I will do better.
I will do better.
Yeah,
it's
really hard for me not to touch other people's shoulders, but I will do better.
Look, I'm gonna tell you, man. That's not. Look, I hope y'all got your credit cards ready because Joe do that to my wife, and y'all gonna have to come bail me out.
Yeah, well, we got your back.
I'm gonna tell you right now.
To Toby's point,
it's gonna be a sin and a crime at that moment.
The Democratic Party is crazy. There's this
Democratic Georgia State Representative Erica Thomas with us here. Thank you for being here, and I want to get this out right away because I know this is something people wonder about. You're pregnant with your second child. Congratulations to you for that. How do you reconcile what you have to legislate with the state of where you are personally right now?
Well, I like to break it up into two parts. The first part is that I'm a representative of my people, and what my people say that's what they want, that's what I should be thinking about, not about how I feel or what I believe. It should be about what the people believe. And then the second thing is, the choice that I made was between me and my husband. It wasn't between me and the chamber or the House or the Senate, and I chose life, but I don't put that on any other woman in the state of Georgia.
Did you have
question.
Man.
Ooh, can I go first?
Go,
Jared.
You're a guest, please.
Go.
Baptist, go first.
Hey, same thing. We're winning again. You see, how do you reconcile being a Democratic candidate and having a baby?
Preach up. Oh.
You can't.
Yeah.
You can't.
And they got a mainline media person pointing that out.
How do you reconcile this? The answer is you don't. Now you can try to. That was nice. That was a nice little juke move that she did.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was.
But you can't reconcile this. They're going down.
She tried to pro-life juke it, didn't she? That's exactly. Go ahead, Pastor.
How can you be? Yeah. How can you be pregnant and be pro-choice?
Yeah.
How are you doing this? Yeah. No. My thing is I'm wondering. She said I have to represent my people.
Yeah.
Yep.
And the thing that is confusing to me is, so help me out here.
Okay,
She'd have been a great vice president.
I lived in Georgia.
You're from Georgia?
I lived in Georgia. I ain't from Georgia.
She says she represents her people.
Yeah.
Her people.
Right.
And she said, and hold on, the people elected representatives.
Well.
And those representatives passed a bill that said you can't murder a baby if it has a heartbeat.
Would she make a good Confederate president?
And
Gabe, careful.
And then and they passed that bill.
Yeah.
And the governor says he's going to sign it.
Right.
And so the thing that I'm trying to figure out is, didn't the people say by electing these people who made this bill,
preacher,
that they didn't want to murder babies that had a heartbeat?
You own something now.
Yeah, but that wasn't her people.
Oh,
she's probably talking about her.
She's on the other
district.
Oh,
she might be referring to her.
I'm just saying. I just think the people spoke.
You know what's driving me nuts right now, and I'm seeing this with the whole pro-choice movement. They're getting louder. I think we're getting down to the crazies.
Oh yeah,
I think we're getting down to the crazies now.
Yeah, but, like the shout your abortion.
Yeah, absolutely.
Nonsense. Yeah.
But what's driving me nuts is their ability to want to say, we think women are being mistreated. We think they're getting taken advantage of because they don't have the right to choose, and that is wrong. And we shouldn't treat people wrong. And I keep thinking to myself, if somebody came and kicked her in the belly, wouldn't she be upset about that?
Should be.
Because of the treatment of the human being that's in her stomach.
That dude would be tried for double homicide.
And it wouldn't matter.
If that happened.
Exactly. Yeah. But I mean, the thing is, like, you're forgetting that the very standard that you need to say we shouldn't treat people wrong starts in the stomach of that you have.
Well, it starts with that. The news anchor saying congratulations.
So for what?
Seriously.
Yeah, congratulations for what?
Her people aren't happy about it.
Because she wanted it?
Right.
Because is that what it takes? So the law changes based on how you want the child.
Right. And this is actually really important. And we need to come back to this.
Okay.
Because it's putting the prerogative on the choice of a person, the judgment of an individual.
That's right.
Or what we might call the consent. Of the person.
Wow.
If I consent to you being a human being in my womb, then you can wish me congratulations.
Then the laws apply.
That's right.
Okay, let's be done talking about politics. Let's talk about the church now.
What?
Pastor here in town, and in my faith tradition, we keep partisan politics out of the pulpit.
Yes, sir.
As a citizen and a person of faith, I do have my own opinions, and I find President Trump's whole demeanor and most of his policies to be abhorrent, or should be, to persons of faith. So I would like to ask you, can you share with us how your own faith would influence you as president?
God, thank you for that question. So I just want to say up front that I'm a person that often says that before you tell me about your religion, show it to me in how you treat other people. I was raised in a church where my mom taught Sunday school, and I'll never forget learning that verse, that faith without works is dead. And I'll tell you what, I feel like I'm in church right now. and I'll tell you what, this is what often bothers. I would rather hang out with a nice atheist than a mean Christian any day of the week. And so thank you for asking me about my faith. You asked, and I will share. The foundation of my life was raising with a faith in God. But I was taught that faith demands, first and foremost, humility before God. That you look at your brother and sister, regardless of their faith, regardless of their background, with a conviction of love.
All right.
He's going to have a hard time.
Untangle this, Toby.
He's going to have a hard time in heaven.
Cory?
Yeah.
Senator Cory Booker?
Because he's going to spend the rest of eternity with a whole bunch of Christians that
were jerks.
And all those nice atheists in hell.
Well, maybe that's where he wants to go, since he wants to hang out with them so bad.
That's part of the problem.
You know.
Jared, let's get your response on this, brother.
Yeah, well, this is what Toby said. Expanding on that. It's a false gospel. So he loves that false gospel. Mm-hmm. He loves that. The people that are really my people.
Did he take God's name in vain?
It's what it looked like to me.
He was asked the question. He says, "Oh my God, I want to answer that."
No, he just said God. He just said God.
I want to answer that.
I think what he was crying out for was help. I put my best construction on that.
Yeah, this is fitting because this is the religion of the nation in many ways.
Oh yeah.
The people that are my people are the people that are nice. Yeah. The people that are not my people are the people that are mean. Yeah, that's the division. So the division is not blood of Christ, not under the blood of Christ. Yeah, it's nice in the meanie pants.
And the other problem is that he said humility before God, which is true, but that means then you submit to God's standard about what's right and wrong. But he says that, but what he's actually importing to that is man's standard.
Pagan idea of humility.
Yeah. So he says fear of God, humility before God, and then says, and that means whatever it is that we currently think that means.
Well, Christians shouldn't let guys like Senator Cory Booker get away with this stuff. I mean, like you were saying, he talks about humility, he talks about God's love. And all the stuff that he's for are abominations to God.
By this standard, he could not be for the abolition of slavery before.
Of course not. He's pro-choice. I mean, they're the new slave masters.
He would have to say, he would say, but the culture says this right now.
Just like his.
And so I'm going to be humble before God and not free the slaves.
Yeah. Oof. Also, too, is anybody concerned about the pastor that asked the question?
Yeah, right.
If you go to that man's church, you might want to find a new church. I'm just saying, check your pastor out a little more in detail. More Across Politics when we come back with Jared Longshore from Sword and Trowel. Next. I like this track. What's that pastor's name? I want names. I want numbers. I want receipts. We got to check him out.
I should try to get him on the show.
Do that.
You know?
Do that. That's a good idea.
Logos Online School is your affordable partner in classical Christian homeschooling, offering live teacher-led instruction 4 days a week to students in grades 7 through 12. Our experienced, enthusiastic teachers provide instruction in math, science, literature, history, languages, Bible, apologetics, rhetoric, government, and economics. Find out why more and more Christian homeschoolers are turning to Logos Online School for the education of their children. Go to logosonlineschool.com today.
If you need a little red meat in your diet, Pastor Doug Wilson.
Say we are dealing with a young man who's dyed his hair purple. I'm giving him counsel, and I tell him, as I would tell him, that this was sinful. He would want me to look up purple hair in my concordance and show him where the Bible prohibits it. But this is as unreasonable as the demand to find a list of English obscenities in a Greek lexicon. The Bible condemns rebellion, and the purple hair means rebellion. If he agrees, he has admitted the sin. If he disagrees, then he is an empurpled ignoramus. As the Sex Pistols would readily tell him, were they here.
To enjoy more red meat of this kind, check out the podcast on iTunes, or for more blogging of this particular nature, blog and Mayblog at DougWills.com. Kind of sticks in your teeth, don't it?
Don't do it.
I'm feeling it. Feeling it.
I'm here because of so many LGBTQ Americans who stood for the rights of African Americans. And my message is that we continue to all be in this together. That right now there are folks who are hurting, who are struggling, who are afraid, who are being bullied, demeaned, and degraded. And if you attack the dignity of one American, it's an attack on the dignity of all Americans. And so we must stand together in this fight. And I stand with my LGBTQ American allies and friends. I stand with you in the cause of justice. The truth of the matter is that this nation's ideals cannot be real for anyone unless they're real for everyone.
Not real for anyone unless they're real for everyone.
What
do you got? What do you got about that? So he's talking about the Equality Act,
right? Which is currently being considered in the House of Representatives. It was a committee.
Yeah, it's brought up last year, and it explicitly states that the Equality Act is building off the Civil Rights Act of 1964.
It's amending that to include sex, sexual orientation, gender identity among those prohibited categories of discrimination or segregation in places of public accommodation. Sex includes, this is according to the bill, sex stereotype, sexual orientation, gender identity, pregnancy, childbirth, or related medical conditions. Notice it lists all of them as medical conditions. Sexual orientation, homosexuality, heterosexuality, bisexuality, gender identity, related to identity, appearance, mannerisms, characteristics, regardless of the individual's designated sex at birth.
Gender identity.
Yeah.
And nothing's, I mean, like mannerisms?
Which means...
our Congress is legislating mannerisms?
Well, because our Congress...
Yeah. That's insane.
Does this mean if I run a daycare and a guy wants to work at the daycare who's given to pedophilia, and I say you can't because you're given to pedophilia, I'm in trouble? It depends
if he has a record or not.
Yeah.
Hey, Jared, he was born that way.
So I'm in trouble.
If you deny rights to one American...
You deny
rights to all Americans. Come on, Jared.
So this is setting up Christian businesses to deal with all sorts of fights.
Well, and let's actually, I mean, yes, but I want to even zoom it out even further because this is, this is this affects everybody.
Everybody.
It's
absolutely.
Mormons. It's Jehovah's Witnesses. Every American.
It wouldn't affect Islam.
It doesn't matter. Yes, it would.
No, they would still have their.
They're still afraid of Islam.
Yeah, that's true.
Islam
still have
but in theory, it's supposed to affect them.
Yeah.
And it means that you can't keep the creepy old guy out of your daycare. You can't keep the guy who says I'm a girl out of the ladies' locker room.
Would
you be able to tell Joe Biden to stop?
No, that's the thing. Is Joe Biden? If this is passed, he says you're discriminating against me, and you better watch it. I'm going to sue you.
Yeah.
This is just who I am. I find fulfillment in smelling women's hair.
So there'd be nothing wrong with a director who happens to call women up to his place and offer them deals. There'd be nothing wrong with that.
Harry Weinstein.
Oh, that kind of director.
Yeah.
Right. If he, that's the thing.
There's nothing wrong.
The Civil Rights Act hates women.
Yeah.
It hates women.
Well, and I think this is a very good example of we put together the Civil Rights Act 1964 of not thinking about the unintended consequences of a certain bill.
Was that 67 or 64?
64.
Yeah.
And Booker actually he explicitly connects it all, right? He says
right. The bill connects it all.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, it connects it all.
But he knows.
But he's saying basically LGBT people helped support.
As they did, because the speechwriter for Martin Luther King was a homosexual.
Right.
And he wanted himself to be pushing that homosexual message, but he knew they couldn't do both.
And if you are curious about that or think that the Chocolate Knox has got out, he's going crazy, I would refer you to Vodi Bachum's great talk, Gay is Not the New Black, in which he goes back and looks at the actual literature where the homosexual community was explicitly connecting the civil rights movement to their own desire to manipulate America into protecting them and privileging them, actually. They've been thinking and talking this way from the get-go. So when you hear Obama say something like, from Selma to Stonewall.
Yep, that's right, which he did.
Those are the words, the code words.
They're dog whistles.
Dog whistles, that's the word I'm looking for. For people who are in the know.
Yep, that's right. And
that these things go together, and that's been the plan from the get-go.
And we're at the place now that they're cashing in their chips.
That's a good way to put it. They're cashing in their, we've been helping you.
That's right.
Now it's time
that's
you're
really
going to help us.
So what happened was the Congress passed the 64 legislation.
Yes.
And now we have the Equality Act built on this, and our Congress gave them the argument for how to run this play in 2019.
Right. If you tell the federal government that they have authority to tell a businessman how he can run his business, then he can tell you what you can and cannot do with regard to your mannerisms.
That's exactly right.
You were saying
frickin' mannerisms. It's incredible.
This is a family show.
Yeah.
But this, I mean, that's the thing. Is like you say mannerisms, like
appearance, mannerisms, characteristics,
and you have the federal government in your business because we said the federal government could be in our business.
Well, and we've done something that what they say they don't want. By the way, that's a baby. Ain't that so good? I love hearing it.
You're a baby?
Me one bit.
I love that noise we picked up on the mic.
It's a baptized baby.
Hey.
That's what it is. Anyway, but they are the merger of church and state. The reason they're judging mannerisms is because it's both. They've merged church and state.
Right.
And they're acting
as the state is the church.
They're judging sins and hate crimes now, and they're judging crimes.
Right.
And they're both now. The very thing they say they don't want is the exact thing they're doing.
Right. Yeah. The God has established particular governments, church, state, family, individual
spheres.
And those spheres are given by God, which means that they are delegated. The authority is derived from God. That means they're limited by God. And so you can't just make it up as you go along. You can't just say, I think the state's also going to take care of health care and welfare, or the family is also going to take care of taxation and executing criminals. No, you can't do that because that's not how God established the world.
Well, if you think about this, Apple, it seems like they create a new laptop, like Macintosh.
Yes, Apple.
They create a new laptop, and then they create all sorts of new dongles that you got to use for the new laptop, right?
Right.
And they create
tread here very carefully because I love Apple.
I know, I like
Apple.
So they create a problem, and then they have the dongle to fix the solution.
They don't consider it a problem,
right? It's a problem for me because I got my old Apple, just 2 years old, and it doesn't work with the solution. It's right. And in a lot of ways, that's kind of like what the federal government has done. I mean, the federal government was the one that regulated Jim Crow laws in the first place.
Yeah.
The federal government's the one that pushed all this legislation to segregate us. And then they're like, oh, well, now we need to fix it too. 1964. And now the federal government's saying we need to fix the sexuality problem.
When you look to the state as the savior, you can't then suddenly act like the state is not going to save you.
Right.
We've been treating the state like the savior. We've been saying, save us from our problems, save us from our prejudice, save us from our hatred, save us from our malice, save us from our past, save us from our parents.
Right.
And the state says, sure, we'll be glad to do that.
And the state's one silly dongle after another.
But when you,
I don't know.
But when you worship idols, they deform you.
You become
You become like what you worship. And if you worship the living God and you submit to his word, you become more and more like him. But
so are you against equality?
No, here's the thing. I want to back up and I want to actually say, first of all, Christians need to fight back, and black Christians need to fight back. Female Christians need to fight back and recognize that this attempted merger, there's problems with the civil rights legislation that we've just identified.
It should have never happened.
The federal government getting involved was a problem. But let's just leave that to the side for a second.
Okay. And
just say, look, even with that in place, there's an important distinction that needs to be made between the fact that someone has darker skin and that somebody has lighter skin. God made you that way.
I'm going to let you just preach this one. Go ahead.
In his image.
Yes, he did.
And a man acting like a woman was not made that way.
That's right.
A man is making stuff up.
That's right.
And Vodibakum made this point in his talk years ago when he was here. He said you can do an autopsy of a dead man.
Yeah.
And you can find out in his DNA if he was black or white or yellow or red or whatever race or ethnicity he was.
And you can also see his body parts.
But he said there's no genetic marker for gay.
Right.
There's no genetic marker for boy who thought he was a girl.
Right.
Or girl who wished she was a boy.
Right.
It's not there. It's not objective. It's not true. It's made up.
Right.
Gay is not the new black was that talk that he did. By the way, if you're a Cross Politic Club member, you have access to that.
Do that?
That's right.
Absolutely.
How can you become a Cross Politic member?
Crosspolitic.com actually, it's a Fight Laugh Feast Club member.
Oh?
I got to stop saying that.
It's hard.
It's Fight Laugh Feast. It's a bigger network.
But that's the thing, though. So we want to make a distinction, though, between these things.
Yeah.
We got to have the other conversation about the 14th Amendment and the civil rights stuff. And there, you got a short version of our thoughts on that.
Yeah.
But at the very least, right now, the battle right in front of us is, no, these are not the same things.
That's right.
Yeah, and seeing that that's what they're doing helps us as Christians know what needs to happen to solve this. They are exalting this identity. This is who I am. Yeah. If that was the image of God and man back then, this is what really matters. This is who I am. And if you object to that, then there's a problem. Well, the only way to solve that is Christ. You preach Christ to them so they can understand the scriptures by the power of the Holy Spirit. They understand this indeed is not my identity. As long as they're left in that unregenerate state, this is what they're going to do. Right. This is how they're going to function.
Exactly. And the thing to point out here is what they're doing, though, is they're taking choices that they have made.
Yep. And making, absolutely.
And trying to get special protections and privileges for that. But this is a slippery slope that is going to destroy everything, because what they're actually exalting in this, what they're actually glorifying in this is choice.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
They're saying my choice is holy and sacred. But there's no way then you can say, but you can't choose to smell women's hair.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Yeah.
Or you can't choose to be sexually attracted to little babies or children. Or
because
whatever.
Joe Biden's on your team.
Yeah. Or animals. I mean, people are like, oh, that's crazy. Like the Bible's like, look, this is what people do. Wicked idolaters, they start fornicating, they commit adultery, then it's sodomy, then it's bestiality.
Right.
This is a path. It all goes together. And you can't say your choice is sacred and holy and must be utterly protected and then magically say, but not that choice.
Well, and part of it too, I feel like when I keep hearing this, I know I keep going back to this, but I can't help it. And this is somewhat of a detour. But they keep jumping in our morality vehicle and driving it off the cliff.
Right.
Right.
What do you mean?
But because
what do you mean?
They are, once again, they are arguing for their choice, the right to have a job,
right?
The right to be able to support their families, the right to be able to call two women together as a couple, a marriage and a family. They're asking for rights to be able to do this, and they're asking for equality, to be treated as equal human beings as everybody else.
Right.
But then if they were just in the womb, I don't know, 6 months in the womb.
Just hanging out.
Just hanging out there. They don't get none of that.
No.
So you don't get any rights. You don't get, there's none of that morality stuff you're talking down here applies anywhere earlier.
Exactly.
But they want to use the morality of humanity, which you get at conception, by the way.
From God.
And they want to take and strip it for what it's worth and try and sell the parts of it.
Right. You cannot exalt and glorify choice without the choice of some set of human beings.
Right.
Without necessarily crushing the choices of other human beings.
Crushing. That's kind of
I actually mean that.
Yeah.
Because
That's
you
exactly
pointed
right.
out about abortion.
Yeah.
You're crushing the choice of that baby to live.
Yep.
And you're also crushing in the business practices. You say, I want the right to work at this business.
Yep.
And I don't want it to be the right of that business owner to choose not to hire me.
Yeah. What about his choice?
What about his choice?
Yeah. There's no neutrality here. Somebody's going to
choice.
Somebody's going to get discriminated against.
Exactly.
The question is, who gets to define that?
That's right.
And they're saying, and I don't want this. I don't want this.
And here's the thing, too. So Christians do not believe that it is right to treat unlawfully homosexuals, transgenders, anybody.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
We don't believe that.
Yeah.
It's a sin.
Yeah.
Right.
And sometimes it's a crime.
Yeah.
Right? Of acts of violence and so forth. In fact, this is a crime.
Yeah.
But the hatred, the malice, prejudice is a sin.
Yeah.
All those are made in God's image are to be honored and respected as God's image bearers.
Yeah.
Right.
And so Christians believe that, and that means that every human being is to be treated with dignity, with respect, with kindness, with love. Love your neighbor as yourself. This is the greatest law.
Yep.
But it is not hatred to tell the truth.
Well, and
It
to
is
your
not
point,
hatred to say you are mangling the body that God gave you.
And
Right. Well, and to your point, when you move away from the logic of worshiping God, you move away from the logic of what it means to be human.
That's right.
Right.
Yeah.
And
This goes back to the Psalm 115 point.
Yeah, that's right.
You worship idols, you get mangled.
That's right. And in some sense, I was listening to you guys talk. I'm like, man, I feel like I'm kind of tired of pointing out the crappy logic of our culture and Democrats and Republicans all over. But the reason why we're in this place is because the church has not been logical in following God's word. We have not worked God's out all the way to the
No, you're absolutely Gabe, we did this.
It's nuts.
No, we did this.
That's right.
The church preached a sentimental gospel.
Right. We handed them the roadmap of how to destroy logic.
Yeah.
And we run with it. Go.
We did this with Arminianism.
Yeah.
We did this when we said that, God just really wants to save you, but he really needs you to choose him.
Yeah. That's right.
He's just waiting there for you. Just choose him.
Yep.
I mean, what are we doing?
Yeah.
We're glorifying the choice of the individual.
That's right.
Right? Or we do this when we say to become a Christian means you have some kind of emotional orgasmic experience.
Right.
Right? The worship leader hit
Finney,
that chord
Yep.
and everybody cried and then you became no, that's not what it means to become a Christian. But if that's what we're teaching them, we're training them to do that.
Right.
And then when they go out in the world and they say, but I have the same experience when I put on girls' underwear.
Yeah.
Right?
That's right.
So isn't that really who I am?
Right.
Because that's how I met Jesus.
Yeah.
This isn't over.
I didn't mean to end it like that.
Well, that's how it is. If you want to hear how this relates to you and your businesses, Mike Sherrill, we had him on the show this past week on Wednesday. You need to go listen to that podcast. There's a lot going on, and you need to understand what your responsibility as a Christian business to speak up about some of this stuff.
We want to talk about Christian strategy.
Christian strategy up next on Cross Politics. You hanging in there?
I'm good.
You all right? All right.
Let's do this.
We got him on the run, so now we need to beat him. Classical Conversation supports homeschooling parents by cultivating the love of learning through a Christian worldview in fellowship with other families. We provide a classical, Christ-centered curriculum, local, like-minded communities across the United States and in several countries, and we train parents who are striving to be great classical educators in the home. For more information and to get connected, please visit our website at classicalconversations.com. Classical, Christian, get connected, get community.
If you are a homeschooler, we have an app for you. Check out Learnly.me. With Learnly, you can capture your family's learning experience anytime, anywhere, and it's all pushed into a digital portfolio that allows you to create classes, grade work, a family learning experience, and generate transcripts all with a single click. Something all homeschoolers should be doing. And for Cross Politic listeners, use discount code LearnlyCross to get 50% off the first 3 months on a monthly subscription plan on top of 30 days free. So head on over to learnly.me/crosspolitic. That's learnly.me/crosspolitic. That's just amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure, that's
This will be awesome.
It was. How's your water?
It's wonderful. You got to show how that's the Inequality Act.
Oh. Yeah, inequality. We need to retag it. That's absolutely right.
It's the Inequality Act.
We do need to tag that.
Hey, welcome back to Cross Politic.
Hiya!
You don't do that.
That was right on time, bro.
I was. You don't know this, but we actually have a studio audience today.
That's why I'm sweating.
Yeah, we do.
I know, right? Man, we're not used to this. Are people watching us?
I feel like we're in a zoo or
something. This? A cute little baby out there.
We do. 2 of them.
Oh, 2 of them. Oh, my goodness. He woke
Get
up.
them all in here.
All right. Well, so
Let's see here.
Gabe's about to say something really smart.
No, I was going to take a selfie.
Are you what?
Me and Joe Biden. Here we go. Everyone get in there if you can.
Sorry, we're just recording a show right now.
1, 2, 3. There we go. All right, I did it. All right. So I was thinking,
can you get access to that if you're a Fight Laugh
no, I'll
Feast?
just tweet it out. All right. This isn't that profound. I probably overblew it up. Overblew it up. How do
You did now.
I overblew it up.
You did now.
He does this all the time. All the time.
So, I was thinking like how mainstream media, we listened to the interview with that lady and the pregnant lawmaker and just like,
Georgia.
She doesn't even know, the gal who's interviewing doesn't even know how to follow up and like just destroy her comments
Erica
right
Thomas,
there. Yeah. And it's just nuts. But I do think we're coming up to a moment where mainstream media, eventually people are going to be looking to shows like ours and kind of the reasonable, grounded, biblical thinking that I think is coming out of a lot of new media in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
And you can't just give yourself over to this way of reasoning and this logic that's going on in our main culture and our mainstream media and main culture without like eventually getting tired of it.
Well, it's babble. This is a babble moment. Like we like they are babbling,
super confused,
literally babbling, saying nonsense. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't correspond to reality.
Yeah.
And so, absolutely, the thing that I want to point out at the same time is I think Christians need to learn to think like Jared Longshore. He's a guy we have on our show right now.
Oh, hello.
And he was
What's up, Pastor Jared?
He's actually pointed out several times though, we're winning. He sounds kind of post-mill.
I like that.
Kind of sound like post-mill.
High five. Hands in.
Hands in.
Post-mill. But the thing that I want
to close. That's too Biden for me. Sorry. Touching on each other.
It's like,
but
man.
The thing I want to point out is every time a major news anchor on CNN, Fox News, wherever, no matter what kind of nonsense they're spouting, every time though they say heartbeat Bill, and the baby's heart is beating at 7 weeks, 8 weeks, 6 weeks, whatever, and brings that up.
That's all right on time, baby. You all right.
We are winning.
Hashtag winning, man.
We are winning.
At the same time, they're getting mad at the Democratic representative for having one.
Well, right. Congratulations.
That's a real win.
How do you deal with the fact that you're pregnant and you're pro-choice?
Yeah.
And they just passed this heartbeat bill. And she says, well, by the time I found out I was pregnant, it was 7 weeks.
It was too late.
It was too late.
Can't kill it.
The heart was already beating. All of that.
You're on
You're
on a roll.
I've been hitting that all day long.
You're on a roll.
We are winning.
That's right.
Are you saying we're supposed to be like kind of like Joshua in the Bible?
Somebody preached a sermon like that, didn't
on the conquest.
Courage, yeah. There you go.
But here's the thing. So I want to tie this into Mike Sherrill.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you didn't catch the interview, catch the interview.
It was earlier this week. Is our midweek fix.
30
minute, 20 minutes interview. It's really good.
Who put us onto this whole bill? We didn't even know.
We were all kicked in the teeth.
Yeah.
We listened to. I don't know if you could see it when you watched it or when you were listening to it.
Hit.
We all kind of got off and we were just like,
we got equality woke.
No, we didn't.
No, Gabe.
No, we didn't.
It's not, the way you keep saying that word, it's not what it.
Is that what it means?
No. We didn't get woke. No. But the thing is that the thing that kicked us all.
Yeah.
I'm just going to speak for us. I'm being a covenantal head for a second.
Yeah,
here.
do it.
Speaking for all black people around the world.
All black people and white people and all the people
in this room.
Is that he said that when he went and talked to the city council members in San Antonio about the deal with the Chick-fil-A in the airport, the city council members said that they hadn't had any Christians talk to them.
Any Christian business leaders
about this.
Yeah.
I think he just said Christians.
Period.
Okay. Wow.
It was anybody.
Wow. Not talking to
and then he said the same thing. He went to D.C. to talk to people about the Equality Act.
Yep.
And he was talking to congressmen, and they were like, yeah, we had the kind of the heebie-jeebies about this, but we didn't know what to do about it.
Yep.
And they didn't have Christians talking to them.
Right.
And the point being that, this is a war. And there's lots and lots of fronts. But Christians, we got to engage, and we got to fight scrappy. Mm-hmm. And that means that everybody needs to engage, and we need to engage cheerfully, gladly, and tell the truth. But that's what I'm saying though about the heartbeat bill. Yeah. We got a bunch of our, abolitionist brothers that sometimes get worked up about the heartbeat bills, right. Or
it's not enough.
It's like, but it's a baby at conception. Yes, it's a baby at conception, absolutely. And every time mainstream media says that the heart starts beating at 7 weeks, we get closer to abolishing abortion because everybody knows that's the fact. And the same thing with the unplanned movie that's going on. I haven't seen it. Have you guys seen it?
I haven't seen it yet. I've heard all the reviews.
I've seen a lot of comments from our abolitionist brothers on it.
It's the same thing. So I haven't seen it yet, so tentative remarks, I reserve the right
to correct
anything. Yeah. But what I've seen hasn't been convincing. The criticisms.
Right.
Okay. Because here's the thing. There's a movie that's in theaters all over the country that I understand depicts an actual abortion.
Yeah.
It's CGI or something, but they're like, it's showing you that there's a baby being killed.
Yeah.
That is winning.
Yeah.
Wow.
That is winning. Yeah. And we need 100 more movies.
And that's why it's rated R.
I think
even though they don't believe it's a baby.
Yeah, but there's a lot.
Yeah, right? Yeah. It's really bad.
Yeah. The movie people who judge what to be violent. PG-13 rated R. They don't believe it's a baby. But that's violent, so it's rated R.
Let them rated R.
There is, I think, to be fair to my abolitionist brothers, and I understand where they're coming from, especially if you've been out in the street, you've been out there in the battle.
Yes.
Somebody like Abby Johnson, who the movie is about, comes out as the spokesperson for pro-life.
Yep.
Right. And tries to tell you what's not working.
Right.
And
I am not saying that we should make Abby Johnson the spokesperson for pro-life movement.
But what I think you're doing, which is what I want to plead with my brothers who I identify a lot with, I think what you're doing is able to separate a person from what's happening.
Right.
And what a lot of times,
out.
yes, what a lot of times they do is they're not doing that. They know there's no differentiation. They can't
differentiate. I got it.
Gabe beat me on that one. I'm turning the game. They can't between the two of those.
Right. After a little scotch too.
And so what happened? I know. And so what does he drink? Anyway, so what they do is they see Abby Johnson, who gets an R rating, who makes a movie about an abortion and shows it. Who also happens to be the same person that argues against using graphical signs at an abortion clinic because they don't work.
Right.
Yeah, and they're saying, hold on.
Yeah.
How do you have a movie that depicts an abortion and you're telling me, who's out there all the time,
with the sign,
I can't have.
Right.
Are you serious now? Yeah. So they're seeing the inconsistency. I get that.
Yeah, I get it too.
I agree with that.
And there's a lot of things that I completely disagree with her on.
Yeah.
But can I just say this
and
for a moment?
She's Roman Catholic.
If me and you are getting into a fight, and I owe Gabe $30, and he's coming to fight me to get his $30, and he swings to hit me and hits you, I'm backing out, and I'm going to tell you, you going to let him hit you like that?
Yeah.
He hit you, I'm going to make sure that you guys are fighting.
Yeah.
And whoever wins that battle is going to be weaker when it comes time for me to take him out.
We need to take lessons also.
That's good, Knox.
That's very good. Yep. And we need preach.
Preach.
We need to take lessons from the Apostle Paul. He finds himself in the Sanhedrin, Pharisees and Sadducees.
That's exactly right.
And he says,
that's right.
I'm in here for the resurrection.
Right.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
And boom. Right?
Yep. And the Pharisees and Sadducees start arguing with one another because they disagree on that.
What we need to learn is the art of war.
That's the only thing I'm seeing.
Okay.
Didn't Trump write a book on that?
The Art of War.
Art of the Deal.
No, that's a different book entirely.
Conceivable.
There's categories. And the categories that we need to learn are the difference between allies and co-belligerents. Okay?
Yeah.
Allies are people who have the same values as we do and are fighting for roughly the same reasons.
Yep.
Okay, so we are allies.
Same mission, values, direction.
We're allies with sword and trowel.
Yeah.
Right?
Hey.
We're standing with them. We're fighting similar enemies, okay? For the same reasons, okay? But co-belligerents are people, we don't share the same values necessarily, but we have the same enemies.
Jordan Peterson.
Okay, exactly.
That's a good
Jordan
example.
Peterson, and in this case, I would say unplanned.
And
if I can back up one step from this, because you're talking about strategy, it's so good. And even your tagline here across by like fight, laugh, feast. I think some people are not even in the fight because they're not reading the scriptures in a certain way, right?
Oh, yeah.
We're reading it we're reading it pessimistically. Like, okay, well, maybe a few people will get saved here and this thing's going to hell in a handbasket. So just hold on before the helicopter lifts us up off the last building when the enemy's going to take us down.
Yeah.
And yet you have scripture upon scripture. When you look to the knowledge of the Lord is going to cover the earth as the waters cover the sea. You start the book of Acts. Where do you end at the end of the book of Acts?
In Rome.
Oh, yeah, right?
Yeah.
So you've got to understand, Jesus told us to pray, your kingdom come, your will be done. Did he tell us to pray something that God's going to say no?
No.
Yeah, right.
No.
If because you're not going to get in that fight as long as you're reading scripture with a downward arc. When you start to see that Jesus Christ ascended into heaven, Psalm 110, sat down at the right hand of the Father, sit here until I make your enemies your footstool. Out of Zion goes forth the law. He's going to head fast. He's going to conquer the ball. He's going to drink from the brook by the way, which means he's not going to stop.
No,
he's going to keep pursuing until all the enemies are slain.
Right.
So kiss the Son, lest you perish in the way.
That's right.
If you play that for a Baptist, bro,
I won't stop. You're going to keep going.
That's some difference.
And the thing that you're saying, I'm getting what you're saying, is that the thing is that when you believe that, you have patience for the mess along the way.
Step by step.
Amen.
You have patience for the mess along the way.
Because Reformation is messy.
You fight one battle at a time. You fight the one that's in front of you, the immediate threat first. The historic example of allies and the difference between allies and co-belligerents was World War II, when we were co-belligerents with the Soviet Union.
So what's the move? What's
crazy.
The Soviet Union was communist, and they were fighting the Nazis.
That's right.
It would have been idiotic for Great Britain.
We'll take you both on.
And the United States to start bombing the Soviet Union while they were fighting the Nazis.
Right. Yeah.
So and if we get attacked, if we get shot at, you can answer them.
Sure.
You can say I differ here and I don't believe that.
Absolutely.
And if Roman Catholics are leading the charge in certain ways, there are probably going to be places where you're going to have to say, no, I don't do it that way. And no thanks. But if they're throwing rocks at the same giant that you're throwing rocks at, don't tell them to stop throwing rocks.
Keep going. I'm gonna say my.
Keep going. Throw a bigger one.
There's some more rocks over there.
Throw a bigger one.
You need some more rocks. There's a bunch of them. Get your team on it. So what's the move though? Because when I look at this, I'm thinking to myself, I don't want to be fighting with us.
Yeah.
I want to make them fight
each other.
So we need to figure out, how do we start a bigger fight between Abby and the whole thing? Because
let's set her up.
Set her up for to take another hit.
Yeah, she and Cory Booker.
That's exactly
right. I mean, that's what we want.
Right.
We want just let them go.
Yeah, and after she gets done stomping Cory out, or whoever wins the battle, whoever is there is going to be weaker for us to take over in here. So I think I'm with you. I don't want us to be fighting the wrong battles.
And don't hear me wrong. I'm not saying we can't criticize. I'm not saying we can't make distinctions
and hold each other accountable.
All that. Yeah. But the thing that I don't want to do is the thing that I don't want to do is
stop the charge from the other team.
Exactly. I don't want to inhibit them from their ability to actually to be part of the solution.
And by the way,
to take out an enemy.
I'm gonna steal something you told. We talked about this last week. When you ain't been engaged and you ain't been fighting, and the Catholics have been the one who have been on the front lines fighting, you can't really say a whole bunch.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, you're just now getting in the fight in a lot of ways.
We are Johnny come lately on this.
We are, and I know.
Meaning Protestants are Johnny come lately.
We are Johnny come lately.
Because I mean, 1973, the Catholics were the ones who responded.
It was 70s. It was the Roman Catholics,
and we've been silent, and it's kind of like this.
And it's a little bit, I mean, what kind of? I mean, we're not being thankful to God, and we're not being rightly humble.
Yeah.
If we jump in for 5, 10, 20, 30 years. I know some faithful Protestants. I mean, we talked to George Grant. I mean, he's been doing it for decades.
Since 1972.
But you can't then say, you can't be resentful of people who have been standing there on the lines all that time, fighting for the dignity of the life of the unborn.
Yes, they have a lot of it wrong.
Even if they got parts of it wrong.
I do.
Absolutely.
I don't want people to hear that we're just championing. No. There are parts that are wrong.
Here's one last thing.
We're just talking about strategy here.
Yeah. One last thing is I want to tie this back into the Equality Act thing and homo rights and trans rights and all that kind of stuff is we need to recognize strategically that we are having we're being flanked currently right now.
Absolutely.
With the Equality Act legislation, etc.
That's right.
All the LGBT stuff, that legislation is flanking us currently. And we need to recognize that. And I think pro-life groups need to actually expand their scope and recognize that it's all tied together. It's the exact same people. It's a culture of death.
Yep.
It's a culture of crushing the image of God.
Right.
Literally. Babies, bodies.
Yeah.
Yep.
Same
Oppression.
deal. It's oppression, it's violence,
Imago
and so on.
Day, killing Imago Day.
Exactly. And so we need to see that play being run on us, and we need to start speaking up. I know that there have been a number of people beginning to speak up at city councils and this kind of thing.
Beautiful.
That's been great.
About,
That's been awesome.
That's
asking
beautiful.
their civil magistrates to protect the unborn, but they also need to expand
That's
and
right.
start saying a culture of life is celebrated and welcomed and protected with one man marrying one woman.
Right.
That's right.
In marriage.
That's right.
And
That's being scrappy.
Yeah, and we need to broaden that, and we need to recognize that it's all tied together, and there's a lot more work to be done right there.
And we talk about expanding. I mean, we want to expand that. Actually, we expand it in ways that we aren't thinking about.
Yeah.
For example, like when we talk about expanding, we want to talk about expanding in how we worship God. Like, right. We don't want to expand this into more legislation or another fight or another play. We want to expand it back into Sunday.
Sure.
If that's
absolutely. Ultimately, fundamentally, it means being completely submitted to God and His Word.
And it means to focus on worshiping Him. Focus on going to church on Sunday.
And this goes back to
children,
Jared's point about, and we need to be happy, scrappy warriors.
That's
Singing,
right.
Happy,
full of the joy of the knowledge of the Lord.
Warriors for Jesus.
Yep. Amen.
Because He's won. He's won. He's won.
I'll wait.
Winning.
He's winning. He's won.
Yeah.
We got this. We got this.
If you're single, get married. If you're married, have kids. And if you have kids, go baptize them. Until next week, love God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. Love your neighbor as yourself. Go fight, laugh, and feast. This is Cross Politics. Just to piggyback on what you were saying about being scrappy.